Next week will be really, really interesting because based on how the market started since the beginning of 2022, it's kind of scary since, given the red wave we've seen so far. And giving into next week, we have a bunch of earnings, a bunch of economic indicators. We have a bunch of, events or catalyst market movers that are going to happen, take place, and give us a clear indication of how, whether markets are going to be smooth, giving more confidence into people buying again on stocks and crypto, or we reached the bottom, which we thought was the bottom, but it's not really the case. And this news coming next week is actually going to push, the selling pressure even further down. So let's get into the details of what it comes first with the economic indicators. So Monday, January 24th, you're going to have indicators on the services and the manufacturing. So this is going to be the very first time in January that we're going to have indicators on how the manufacturing business. Manufacturing is really about goods and services. So we're going to see if supply chain issues actually are impacting the economic growth expected this year or not. Then on January, again, the HPEC composite, but most importantly, the CB consumer confidence. Consumer confidence, it's really about how you and I are, individuals in this economy. Do we really, feel the impacts of supply chain issues and inflation? Usually when it's bad or not as good as the market expected to be, usually it, has major impact on the whole retail sector. Then on January 26th, that is Wednesday, this is really where things starts to get really, really heavy because we have here FOMC statement. You can see here that, this is the website of the Federal Reserve on the calendar. On the Wednesday 26th, we do have at 2 p.m. the FOMC meeting. It's a 2-day meeting really starting on January 25th. So after that's going to be a press conference at 2 p.m. So it's really interesting because this is really where people are going to start looking what the Federal Reserve, what Jerome Powell is going to actually start, giving details and hints about when exactly can we expect interest rates to start going up. Is it going to be in March? Is it going to be in February? Is it going to be, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 times like some of the experts are kind of expecting it to go? Then we also have the initial jobless claims on Thursday, the 27th. This is going to be really also very interesting because it comes right after the GDP quarter over quarter, Q4 for 2021. So given the fact that the Fed is supposed to actually look at how the economy is doing, plus how the job market is also doing, it might impact, some of the things we'll hear on the FOMC statement the very eve of this day. And then on Friday, we have a bunch of other indicators on employment, on, CPE, on oil, energy sector, and speculative positions, which doesn't really, move the markets that high. So the bottom line is next week, we're going to have the GDP numbers, we're going to have the employment numbers, and we're going to have the Fed decision on the monetary policy, especially when it comes to the next coming quarter, the next coming month. So it's going to be really, really intriguing to see how far and how big it will impact the market. Now, coming to AMC, one of our favorite stocks that we cover on this channel, the thing is, so far, the markets have been it's been cut up, especially when you look at the performance of the Russell 2000 since this last month. Man, 12%. This went actually beyond the 2000 level. This is, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because if you go to a bar, if you go to a restaurant, if you go to a movie theater, if you go to a bunch of, what we call the small companies, they're actually doing good. And they've been doing good since, a couple of months in 2021, but they're supposed to do even better in 2022, including AMC. So I wouldn't expect this whole thing, coming next week, this whole catalyst coming next week to actually do better for AMC, given this red wave we've seen so far. But in the meantime, you just never know. Sometimes, markets, just, overreact to things, which I wouldn't be surprised if it's the case for some of the things that happened last week. But again, You hope for the best, but you also kind of prepare for the worst. And that's why you need to look at how the market needs to evolve, how the market will be impacted given the news here on the economy calendar, on the Fed meeting, and a bunch of other stocks. So that's all, folks.